welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name's Lisa. It's Tom MacDonald Tuesday, which means another reaction to Tom MacDonald music. Today's reaction video is going to be the official music video for his track Fake Woke. Very much looking forward to getting into this one because I know it's popped up a lot on my recommended and other people have reacted to it. And judging by some of the thumbnails that I've seen, people have been shocked. They've been maybe amused, maybe a little bit outraged. I don't know. It's hard to say with the with the pictures. But yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be another controversial one, and maybe calling out some people that sort of claim to be woke but are actually fake, and they don't kind of practice what they preach. I'm assuming, judging by the title. We'll find out. So without further ado, let's get into this one and see what Tom has for us. Here we go. This is going to be interesting.
I think it's crazy I'm the one who they labeled as controversial, and Cardi B is the role model for 12-year-old girls. There's rappers pushing Xanax at the top of the billboard, but if I mention race in a song, I'm scared I'll get killed for it. It's backwards, it's getting exponentially dumb. It's more difficult to get a job than purchase a gun. Eminem used to gay bash and murder his mom, and now he doesn't want fans if they voted for Trump. We're ashamed to be American. You should probably love it, cause you have the right to hate it and not get stoned to death in public. As children we were taught how to walk and talk, but the system wants adults to sit down and shut up. Cancel culture runs the world now, the planet went crazy. Label everything we say as homophobic or racist. If you're white, then you're privileged, guilty by association. All our childhood heroes got Me Too'd or they're rapists. They never freed the slaves. They realized that they don't need to change. They gave us tiny screens, we think we free cause we can't see the cage. They knew that race war would be the game they need to play. For people to big teams, they use the media to feed the flame.
They so fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake woke. Same old safe zones. They so fake woke. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Wow, okay, I'm just going to pause it there. Wow, he's already said a lot. And the song is not even halfway over yet. Crikey. Yeah, I mean, he made some brilliant points about mainly calling out sort of like the system and the media and the way it's designed to separate people, to divide people into groups, whether that be sexuality, whether that be race, religion, culture, ethnicity, whatever the case may be. And you know, I know he sort of like called out the, you know, the likes of Eminem, you know, used to gay bash and things like that, and do, you know, say a lot of horrible things, and now he doesn't want fans if they voted for Trump and stuff. And I know he is pretty against Trump from what I gather. Eminem, he did that. I think he did that sort of diss track. I think it was a couple of years ago or something, where he basically bashed Trump. And you know, it was a big thing. I remember because it was around sort of like the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff, you know, where that all kicked off after George Floyd and things. And yeah, he made it clear that he was standing with the black community, and they were his family, and he was staying loyal to them. And a lot of people praised him for it. There were some people that criticised him for it, because they felt that he was a race traitor, that he was turning against, you know, fellow white people and stuff. But you know, the way he saw it is he was standing with the community that needed him the most to speak out for them and to amplify their voices. And I totally agree with that. Personally, that's my personal opinion. I think artists, particularly white artists, should be doing that. They should be amplifying, not speaking over black voices, but I think they should be amplifying those voices and backing people up that are black and brown and indigenous communities and people other than white, basically. So I actually personally commend Eminem for doing that, but I know obviously, you know, he's kind of calling Eminem out for sort of the double standards, where he used to sort of be maybe a little bit homophobic and stuff, and then, you know, now he's kind of turned against somebody who, you know, a lot of people sort of say is homophobic and sexist and racist, and in many ways that is true, frankly. I think as far as Trump goes, I have to say I'm sorry if I offend anybody by saying that, anybody that voted for Trump, but I don't believe that he is a great person, certainly not to have become president. And I don't know, I think with Trump being president, it did cause a lot more division, and it made the situation a lot worse, certain situations a lot worse. It gave racist people the voice and the confidence to actually, you know, shout those opinions out loud, opinions that they already had, but it gave them the confidence to say it out loud. And, you know, perhaps they wouldn't have done it beforehand, before Trump was president, and things that he used to say and do, and impressions that he used to give. So, I mean, again, I don't know whether, you know, there could be, you know, a lot of these views could be Tom MacDonald's personal views, and a lot of them it could be that he is drawing attention to them, again, like I've said before, to get people talking. I get the impression with a lot of his lyrics and a lot of his songs, they're probably not even his personal views, it's just that those are the talking points at the time that he releases the song, and those are the big problems and issues in society, and he draws attention to them by causing controversy. And I love the fact that he said, you know, I'm the controversial one, yet you've got rappers that are talking about popping Xanax, and, you know, it's easier to get a gun than it is to get a job, and all these societal issues and problems that are going on, and yet, you know, you're coming for me, like, because I'm speaking on this, I'm speaking the truth, I'm telling you how it is, that the media and the system are there to manipulate people and to divide people. They're making the situation worse, and so many people are falling for it. So with that, I totally agree with him on that one. I think, the media and the system, the way it is built, is created for that purpose. And I love the fact that he says something along the lines of about you know, we're in prison cells, all of us, you know, slavery never ended, we're all in prison cells, but it's just that we can't see the bars, you know, because there's like a screen, and we can't see that we're all in prison cells, and we're all trapped, we're all prisoners of something. But, you know, I mean, you only have to look at the prison system. It's you know, disproportionately people of colour that are in prison, and a lot of those people are in prison for committing the same crimes that many white people will commit, but those white people get a slap on the wrist, or they have a prison sentence that's a lot less than people of colour. So sorry, you can't get away from that. Statistics, you know, prove that if you really delve into them. And you know, a lot of people will sort of throw up, well, you know, oh, if you look at, you know, the statistics and stuff, and you know, that number, you know, with black and brown people is higher than white people, and, you know, for doing certain crimes and stuff. But you've got to look at, you know, the overall bigger picture with regards to, I haven't got statistics on me at the minute to kind of reel them off, but you know, you've only got to look at the bigger picture to kind of see that, you know, the population in terms of, you know, people of colour versus white people is kind of, it's a mismatch. So, you know, they're kind of focusing on the whole thing with people of colour and the crimes that they commit, and they're making a big deal out of that, but they're not giving you the whole story with regards to numbers and figures of how many, you know, make up the population. The whole population. A lot of things here, obviously they will divide opinion, and very controversial subjects that he's bringing up, but he is making some brilliant points, and I've always said, if it gets people talking and starts a conversation about things that need to change, then that's a good thing, I guess. Yes, sometimes things have to get worse before they get better. You have to have some tough, difficult decisions and face some difficult truths, but ultimately, if it makes a change for the better, then that's a great thing, I think. So yeah, so far I'm absolutely loving this. The beat and the instrumental are awesome. Again, I know that it's going to be shot by Nova, because, you know, it is always shot by Nova, but she's doing a brilliant job with the videography and just very stripped back in terms of visuals and things. So yeah, so far absolutely love this. So let's carry on and see what else he has to say. I've got a feeling he's got a lot more.
I think it's crazy how these people screaming facts, but they fake woke. Hate their neighbor cause he wears a mask or he stays home. Has a daughter but his favorite artist said he slays hoes. Picks her up from school, music slaps on the way home. Censorship's an issue cause they choose what they erase. There's a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate. I think Black Lives Matter was the stupidest name, when the system's screwing everyone exactly the same. I just want to spend...
Sorry, no, I just want to want to pick up on that one. He thinks that Black Lives Matter was the stupidest name because they're basically treating everybody the same, or not, as the case may be, not treating, you know, it's everybody as an equal thing. Systemic racism is a very real thing, and like I said, you know, before, people of colour are treated a lot worse in terms of by the justice system, by the police, by, you know, the whole thing to do with getting jobs and things like that. They're looked at differently a lot of the time because of these negative stereotypes that the media push, with regards to crime and things, and just what they're into, and their interests and their culture and their background, and maybe, you know, the way they speak and the way they present themselves. But it literally is that they're stereotypes, because not all people of colour are going to dress the same. Not all people of colour will have the same kind of jobs or be unemployed. You know, not all people of colour are going to come from poor backgrounds or you know, live in rough neighbourhoods and stuff. And let's face it, there are a lot of white people that come from rough neighbourhoods that don't have a job, that commit crime, mass shootings, for example, you know, serial killers. They're predominantly white people, let's be honest. So to sort of like, you know, say that, you know, they're treating everybody poorly exactly in the same way, no, that's not the case. I disagree with that, I have to say. People of colour, whether that be Asian people, Middle Eastern people, black, brown people, you know, indigenous people, they're, whoever, you know, Hispanic people, they're treated differently, and in a not very great way. You know, you've only got to go on social media and you know, the likes of TikTok and Facebook and things like that to see you know, compilations or videos of where somebody's been filmed, a so-called white Karen, or you know, even men, you know, white racist men, and they're hurling abuse at people. You've got a typical racist white Karen who's like, you know, an outdoor swimming pool, and she's having a go at you know, a black family because they dare to sit there, and it's almost like they're ruining the scenery or something, or they dare to breathe, they dare to even exist alongside the same swimming pool because their kids are swimming in the pool, when they get accused of, you know, causing trouble and being loud and ruining everything for everybody else. And it's like, no, you just don't like them because of the colour of their skin. You just don't like them because you've got this idea in your head that they're going to be too loud and too rambunctious, and they're going to be too in your face and stuff, where in actual fact they're minding their own business, they're having a good time like anybody would on maybe a hot day by the side of an outdoor pool. Their kids are having fun, they're, you know, they're spending time together, and you just don't like it because obviously you have a thing against people that look like them. So yeah, I don't agree with that whole thing. They are treated differently, and they're treated poorly in comparison to a lot of white people. And I know he said about white privilege as well, you know, you get accused of having white privilege. A lot of people unfortunately are still not getting to grips with the idea of white privilege versus the whole like being rich and being successful. Regardless, you could be the poorest white person in the world, you could be a homeless white person, and you could still have privilege above a person of colour because of the colour of your skin being white. So, or you know, you passing it as light skinned, so you get treated differently. So that, you know, that whole thing, Black Lives Matter, you know, again, people are still kind of getting confused with the whole, yeah, but all lives matter. It's not saying only black lives. Never does, in that title does it say black lives only black lives matter more. It's saying Black Lives Matter because they haven't mattered. That's the cold hard truth of systemic racism, of racism within society, is that they haven't mattered as much as white people, because if they did, they'd have the same opportunities, they'd be treated in exactly the same way as white people. So I know a lot of people they still can't get to grips with that. White privilege doesn't mean that you're rich and successful and live in a big house and, you know, have fancy stuff and whatever. It's to do with the colour of your skin and you being treated differently to people of colour. You automatically have white privilege if you get pulled over by the police, as opposed to somebody that's black that will get treated differently, possibly handcuffed, possibly thrown into the back of a police car, certainly over in America. And it's still very much racism, still very much a thing over in the UK here as well. You know, to say that, you know, white privilege is all about, you know, wealth and power and stuff, not necessarily. You know, you could, there are still celebrities of colour who get treated differently, or they will still talk about experiencing racism. Football players, soccer players, a lot of the black soccer players get treated, or they get shouted racist abuse out on the pitch, and they get called all sorts of names by the fans, by the opposing fans, even by their own team's fans. If they miss a goal, or if they, you know, do something wrong on the pitch or whatever, you know, they will still get hurled abuse at. You know, people take an instant dislike to them for whatever reason, and they'll get called names. So yeah, it's that part I don't agree with, I have to say. But Yeah, so far, I mean, brilliant points being made, but let's carry on.
Thanksgiving Day with food in my family, without being accused of celebrating native casualties. We got so divided, it's black and white and political. Republicans are bigots, libtards if you're liberal. There's riots in our streets and it's just getting worse. Y'all screaming deep on the police, y'all are genius for sure. They're underfunded already, they're way too busy to work.
That defund the police, there is so much more to it. It's not about taking police off of the streets. It's not as cut and dry as that. And again, that's another thing that a lot of people get confused about when they hear defund the police or, that sort of thing. It's more about giving people like social workers and people that are putting money into and funds into training police officers to be more respectful when it comes to people that are, not white. If you get somebody that's going off that's a little bit nutty and they're armed or whatever and seen as dangerous, instead of just sending police in to shoot them down, no questions asked, instead maybe send trained social workers and therapists and people like that in that are going to be trained in that sort of situation to try and talk somebody down so that it doesn't get to the point that you end up gunning someone down that is perhaps just having, dare I say it, a hard time. And that is the crazy thing. It could be somebody that's not taking their meds or someone that's got a history of mental illness or something. And that's the crazy thing about it, is a lot of white people that do this sort of thing, they will get taken down, maybe tased at worst, but they will get handcuffed, they will go kicking and screaming, or they'll have to be taken into custody, and they're alive. People of colour don't often get that luxury. They are normally gunned down, they are normally taken in a body bag, and they get even if they're still alive, they get the harshest sentence compared to somebody that's white that's done the same crime. For example, Carl Rittenhouse. Now, if that was somebody that had gone to a protest to do with white people, I guarantee if that was a black person or another person of colour, they would have been gunned down. They would never have been allowed to walk past the police completely armed with assault rifles and bulletproof vests, even at the age that he was, 17 or whatever he was at the time. They would have been gunned down. They would never have been allowed to walk past the police, and the police just waved them past, having gunned down a number of people and killed however many people it was. There is no way, if that was a black person, they would have been able to do that. They would have been at the very least tased. At the worst, they would have been probably shot and killed, multiple times shot. So again, that is the whole thing, classic example of people of colour getting treated totally differently with regards to crime or regards to the justice system and things like that. That guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, that did a mass shooting and then was taken in, handcuffed. They sat him down. It was a hot day. He'd got hot and sweaty. They sat him down next to the police car and they gave him a bottle of water, a bottle of cold water, because he said he was thirsty and he was dehydrated. They took him into custody, stopped for Burger King on the way because he said he was hungry. Come on, seriously. And then you have George Floyd, for example, who was knelt on for over 9 minutes and suffocated to death by a crazy, power-hungry cop with a number of others watching and just allowing him to do it, and they weren't speaking up, they weren't trying to stop it. And despite the fact he was begging and pleading, I can't breathe, and he ended up being carried away, he was dead. He didn't get that luxury. He hadn't even shot anybody. He hadn't even committed a mass shooting. He didn't get to have a bottle of water, or have the police officer take his knee off his neck so he could breathe. He didn't get to go to Burger King before he got taken into custody. No, he was killed there and then on the spot with people watching, with cameras on him for all to see. So it makes me angry, it really does. I mean, like I say, obviously this is one of those that I've said before, there are some points that I agree with Tom MacDonald on, but there are some that I don't. And this is one of those that there are a few things that I'm picking up that I don't agree with him on. There's a lot more to it, and the whole defund the police is obviously that came about. That was because of that. If he was a guy that was in need, if he was on drugs or if he had mental issues or whatever, I don't know whether he did or not, but if there should have been somebody going along with the police, you know, to actually like try and talk him down and try and get to the bottom of it in a decent way, rather than just kneeling on him, handcuffing him behind his back and ignoring him when he said that he couldn't breathe, and then suffocating him to death right there on the spot after 9 minutes. So yeah, there's so much more to it. Obviously, you know, you need to look into it if you haven't already, and you're one of those people that kind of hears defund the police and then you think, oh, how stupid. There's a lot more to it than that. It's about putting the resources where they're meant to be and having properly trained people, including police officers who are also trained in mental health and that are a lot more compassionate. It's about issuing totally different training for police officers and getting police officers that are the bad guys and girls out of the police force and replacing them with people that actually do their job properly and have compassion and have empathy and respect and sympathy for other human beings. That's essentially what it is in a nutshell. But like I say, there's a lot more to it. But yeah, obviously look it up if you don't know what that's all about. But it's not just as cut and dry as like, oh, taking their money away so that they can't afford resources and stuff to go out and do their job. It's not about that at all. It's about redistribution, and it's about retraining and getting the bad cops out of the force, essentially. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. But let's carry on. I'll try not to pause it again.
Order food and call the cops, see what reaches you first. Segregation ended, that's a lie in itself. That was a strategy to make us think they were trying to help. They knew that racism was hot if they designed it to sell. We buy up every single box and divide us ourselves.
They so fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake woke. Same old safe zones. They so fake woke.
It's making some great points though, I have to say.
We use violence to get peace and wonder why it isn't working. That's like sleeping with a football team to try and be a virgin. Politicians are for sale and someone always makes the purchase, but you and I cannot afford it. Our democracy is worthless. If a man has mental illness, call him crazy, say it silently. When country's going crazy, we accept it as society. Get sick and take a pill. When the side effects get you high, you get addicted like these rappers dying fighting with sobriety. Censoring the facts turns our children into idiots. They claim it's for our safety. I'll tell you what it really is. Removing information that empowers all the citizens. The truth doesn't damage points of view that are legitimate. They're trying to change amen to amen and women. How'd we let them make praying a microaggression? Instead of asking God for the strength to keep winning, we cheat to get ahead and then we ask him for forgiveness. Feminism used to be the most righteous of fights, but these days it feels like they secretly hate guys. I don't trust anyone who bleeds for a week and don't die. I'm just kidding, but everything else that I said is right.
I don't trust anybody who bleeds for a week and don't die. I'm just kidding. But everything else I said is right. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, fair point, I suppose. But if you know that, like, basic biology and the difference between men and women, and you know, you've been sort of, if you know, if you know the whole thing about periods and menstrual cycles and stuff, you'll know there's obviously a lot more to it. But I love that joke. Absolutely love it. Oh my gosh, hilarious. Loving this. I mean, fantastic points. He really is making some brilliant points, and some of it I am agreeing with. A lot of it I'm, you know, the whole division thing and segregation and stuff, they've kind of, you know, they've twisted it and made it into something that, you know, kind of has people fooled into thinking it's one thing, and it's actually they're kind of like working behind the scenes, you know, to basically divide everybody. It's very much alive and well, segregation and everything, with everybody, but it's crazy.
They so fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake woke. Same old safe zones. They so fake woke.
Love this beat.
Don't care about your feelings.
Yeah, another brilliant one shot by Nova. Ooh, love that guitar riff. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I loved this one. Like I say, you know, love the beat and the instrumental, and yeah, he made some great points there, picked up on a lot of things. Again, like I've said before, if it gets people talking and starts conversations, then I'm all for it. But obviously, you know, as I kind of said about, there's a few things there that I didn't agree with him on, and or the points that he made, whether or not they're, like I say, his personal opinions or not, or whether he's just saying them for the sake of, you know, saying them in the song and starting that kind of conversation, you know, whichever it is. There were some things that I didn't agree with on, but I get where he's coming from, you know, but that's ultimately why it's good to have songs like this, is because it starts those conversations, and it hopefully, you know, gets people talking about stuff or asking questions about certain things. What does that mean? What does that mean? You know, what's your experience? And, you know, you have a different experience to me with regards to the justice system or the police or society or whatever. So talk to me about it. Tell me, help me understand, so that I can hopefully show some empathy and see it from a different perspective, from a different point of view. And yeah, that's ultimately, I think, you know, what we should be doing is having those difficult conversations, and yeah, just opening our eyes to other people's situations and other people's lives, and realizing that, you know, we're, you know, whatever bubble that is, you know, we're in it, and things could be very, very different outside of that bubble. Things, you know, as far as anybody else goes, they could be very, very different for those people as it is for us. You know, that person's experience is going to be very different to us having that same experience, based on skin colour, based on religion, based on sex, based on, you know, societal expectations and stereotypes and, you know, things. But ultimately we're kind of all human beings that are battling the same kind of system. And yeah, just yeah, we need to just all wake up and realise, you know, what they're doing. They're essentially controlling the masses, and they're doing it in a very clever way. They have been for a long, long time now, and it needs to change. People need to kind of wake up and realise, you know, what that's all about. You know, it's fine to listen to the media, or, you know, watch the news and find out what's going on, but then you have to do your own research and your own digging and find out the truth. And if you hear something that you think, that doesn't seem right, or you question it and go, oh my God, I didn't know that. Is that right? You know, do the research. Google is there. You know, look in books, talk to people. People, you know, if they're talking about, you know, people of colour or something, or Indigenous people, talk to those people and find out. Do research. Do it for, you know, research from a different perspective. Go on these social media sites like TikTok and Facebook and things, and go onto their web pages and find out what their perspective is, and find out what their points of view are, and make, you know, make decisions based on that. Make your own mind up based on that. And I think you'll probably find with a lot of situations and a lot of subjects, it's very, very different to what you probably actually think it is. Really, we're being told one thing, but it's not necessarily to be believed, and that is not necessarily someone else's lived experience. They would probably tell you a very different story and say, well, actually, no, they tell you that, but it's actually wrong, or they're blatantly lying, or no, that's very outdated, that's very stereotypical, it's not necessarily the case at all. So yeah, it is about, you know, thinking for yourself, and don't listen to everything, don't take everything as gospel based on what you see on the news, and just, you know, what maybe a few people say. Talk to the masses, talk to a number of different people that have different opinions, and from different cultures and different backgrounds and different skin colours and religious backgrounds and things, and just get a general picture before you make your mind up about something or somebody. So yeah, I loved this though, absolutely brilliant. Like, so I love that guitar riff at the end, that's pretty cool. And yeah, a bit of a rocky beat as well, that he, you know, a bit of a rocky instrumental that he did the delivery to. Yeah, brilliant, brilliantly written again. And yeah, Tom always knows what to say to sort of start those conversations, and yeah, get people talking and get people thinking, and I love it. And yes, he is controversial, but yeah, I think we kind of need more artists like that are willing to raise these points and speak truth sometimes. I wish a lot more people within the hip hop genre would do that, and, you know, be a lot more fearless the way Tom is, because it has such a huge following, such a huge fan base, and it's so influential, probably more so than any other genre of music out there. So yeah, I loved this though. I thought this was brilliant. Like I say, even if I didn't agree with every single thing that he said, and I have my own opinions, I've never made any secret of that with Tom's music. There's some things that I agree with him on, many things in fact, and there's some things that I don't. And, you know, I'll always be, you know, try and be honest and open. I'm always open to learning, and I I respect Tom hugely for being willing to speak the truth and start these conversations and be so open and honest. Even if I don't agree with every single thing that he says, I would still like to think of myself as part of the Hangover gang by now. I've reacted to so many of his songs. I'd like to think I'm hopefully part of the family. But it's like that with families. You're going to agree and you're going to disagree with each other, and it doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't have respect for somebody and just say agree to disagree. You know, fine, you have a different opinion, a different outlook. That's fine. I have this opinion, this outlook, and you know, I don't agree, and that's okay. You know, we can still be respectful and still be kind to each other. You know, don't have to kind of start a huge argument or anything like that and hate on somebody or be like, right, I'm not listening to his music anymore. I'm more than happy, even if I don't agree with you know, everything that he says, I'm more than happy to carry on listening to his music, because he has some brilliant music and he does make some great points and some things really hit home. So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm still going to carry on listening to his music and reacting, even if I don't agree with everything he says. There's no hate coming from me here. I'm not being one of those crazy fans that starts typing out a hate comment on his YouTube and being like, you suck, you're such a racist, you're a sexist. You know, no. I mean, I don't think it's necessary, like I say, because a lot of these views might not even be his anyway. He's just opening the conversation up and talking about the things that are controversial, the things that should be spoken about at this point in time. Personally, he does it in quite a respectful way. Unlike, you know, some people that will blatantly go out there with hate speech and things like that. He does it in a clever way and a very respectful way, I think. So yeah, I love this. This is, again, you know, one of the best ones I think that he's done that I've heard so far. It's right up there. Love this, just all the different things that he spoke about. So yeah, I'm looking forward to carrying on with my Tom MacDonald reactions. I will not stop, honestly. I'm not going to hate on him just because I disagreed with certain things in there. So if you enjoyed this too, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with more Tom MacDonald Tuesday reactions and reactions to other artists on Thursdays and Sundays. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.